of the great Psalms that has to do with the loving kindness of the Lord is Psalm 36. What I'd like to do is to do working through this Psalm, a grammatical study inductively of this Psalm, looking at primarily each word grammatically, at the same time trying to capture the flow of thought of the Psalm. He's going to begin in this Psalm by talking about what the godless are thinking and what they are like. And then he will move from there to talk about the attributes of God, and especially his loving kindness. And then finally, he'll have a final prayer to the Lord. So we begin, Lamnatseach le'eved Adonai leDavid. That is, for the leader, a psalm of David, the servant of the Lord. Notice Lamnatseach is from Natsach, to lead or be preeminent. And here we have a participle, a PL participle, masculine singular from Natsach. Notice the mem prefix followed by the a vowel and the doubling of the middle radical in the sadi. So for the leader, a psalm belonging to David, who is the servant of the Lord. We begin then where he sets forth the wicked and seeks to describe the ungodless and the godless and what they're like. Notice Nu'um Pesha Lerasha Bekerev Libi Ein Pachat Elohim Leneged Einav. Literally, the saying of transgression. Ne'um Pesha would be the way I would render that. That is, transgression is speaking. So it's the saying of transgression to the wicked. In other words, what the wicked are thinking, the psalmist is saying. Bekerev libi, in the midst of my heart. In other words, the thought here is the psalmist is in his mind saying, this is what the wicked are like, and this is what the godless are thinking. And he's thinking this, applying it then to the wicked. It begins, Ein pachat Elohim leneged einav. There is no fear of God before his eyes. Notice the negative ein, pachat means fear. And here it's not the word yara or yirat, the fear of the Lord, but the fear of the Lord, by the way, is the beginning of wisdom, yirat. And we see this in Proverbs. But this pachad is looking at the fear of God's judgment. It's looking more at, can I say, the dread. There's no dread of God's judgment. One of the problems of the wicked, of the ungodly, the psalmist is saying, is there's no dread of God's judgment. We live in a day and time, really, where people don't believe that there is a hell or that there is any kind of eternal judge that will judge one's deeds. And this is what the psalmist is thinking. And so he goes on, Ein pachat Elohim, there is no dread of God, leneged einav, before his eyes. In other words, he has no dread of facing God in judgment someday. And that's the way he's describing what the godless are thinking. And then he moves on, Ki echalik elav be'enav, limso avono lisno. That is, literally, for he flatters unto himself in his eyes, to find out his iniquity to be found. It's a very difficult verse in Hebrew, and first of all, he flatters unto him in his eyes. In other words, he thinks arrogantly that God will not find out what he's doing and to hate what he's doing, that God will not do that and to judge him because of that. I think that's the thought. Notice it is interesting here. Sin wants to say that God will not hold one accountable. It smooths the assurance of any judgment from God. It is interesting. Cohen agrees with this translation on page 108 in some Sino Bible commentary. For it, transgression, makes smooth to him in his eyes as to sin being found out to be hated by God who judges. That's the thought. In other words, it's a very difficult reading, but going back to it, ki hechalik elav. Hechalik is from the root halak, to flatter. And here we have a hifil perfect, third masculine singular from halak, or literally to make smooth. In other words, he makes smooth his thought in his eyes. Following that hifil, limso, to find his iniquity. By the way, limso is from matzah, to find. It's an infinitive construct, a cow infinitive construct, followed by avono, his iniquity, lisno, which means to hate, another cow infinitive construct from sana, to hate. So I think the best rendering is that which Cohen makes, and I would agree with that. For it, that is transgression, makes smooth to him in his eyes, that is to the wicked, to the godless, as to his sin being found out to be hated by God, who is the final judge. That is, to find out his iniquity to be hated. We have two infinitives back to back, cow infinitive constructs. And so, again, literally, for he has flattered unto himself in his eyes, to his iniquity to find to be hated, literally. But then seeking to interpret it, simply flattering himself, thinking that his iniquity will not be found out by God to be judged by him, and to be hated by God because God is righteous. I think that's the thought. So then he goes on, after describing that, to continue to describe the, can we say, the portrait of the godless. It reads, Divrei fiv aven umirma, chadal haskil lehetiv. That is, the words of his mouth are iniquity and deceit. Notice divrei fiv. Divrei is in construct with fiv, meaning mouth of him. That vav is a pronominal suffix, third masculine singular. So the two nouns in construct, that is, the words of his mouth are iniquity and deception. He is not going to be honest, is what the psalmist is saying. Hadal, he has left off, he has ceased. Hadal is the cow, perfect third masculine singular from Hadal. Lehaskil lehetiv. He is left off to be wise. Notice shakal is the root to be wise, and here we have a hifil infinitive construct with the hey with an A-class vowel followed by the hirik yod, the vowel pattern of an infinitive construct, and the lamed here introducing this hifil infinitive construct. That is, he has ceased to cause to be wise to do good. Lehetiv. Notice lehetiv is another infinitive construct from yatab, to do good. And here again we have the hey prefix with the lamed, showing that we're looking at another infinitive, hifil infinitive construct. So his mouth is full of iniquity and deception, and he has ceased being wise before God to do good. So because of that, he devises iniquity, that is the godless, in his heart, on his bed. Notice as he goes on in verse 5, Aven yakshov al mishkavo, yit yatsev al derek lo tov, ra lo yim as. That is, he devises iniquity upon his bed. Notice yaksov is the cow perfect third masculine singular from chashav, to think, yakshov, to think. And so he is thinking iniquity upon his bed. Instead of meditating, as the psalmist in other psalms talk about, that is, the things of God and his word, the godless are meditating iniquity, evil, in his bed, the psalmist is saying. Yit yatsev al derek lo tov. He sets himself upon a way that is not good. Notice yit yatsav is a hitpayel imperfect third masculine singular from yatsav, to establish. And so he establishes himself upon a way that is not good, and he does not abhor evil. Ra lo yim as. Yim as is a cow imperfect third masculine singular from ma'as, to abhor. So the thought of the psalmist, David, here is that the godless devises that which is evil and does not set himself upon a path that is good, and he does not abhor that which is evil, where the righteous do. That's the contrast that the psalmist is drawing between the portrait of the godless and the righteous. But now he moves from that thought to the loving kindness of the Lord in heaven, which is a beautiful passage now about God's great attributes of kindness and loyal love and righteousness. Notice as we move on in verse 6, O Lord, Adonai, B'chashamayim chasdecha, O Lord, in heaven is your loving kindness. What a beautiful thought here. He moves from earth and the wicked and the godless and what they're doing, to heaven. And he says, Lord, your loving kindness is in the heavens. By the way, chasdecha is from chesed, a famous Hebrew word showing the loving kindness of the Lord, his loyal covenant, his covenant loyalty. And then amunatecha ad shechakim. Your faithfulness reaches unto the heavens, or your faithfulness is unto literally the skies, shechakim. What a thought here about God's faithfulness. His faithfulness is forever, and it rests with him in his abode in the heavens, along with his loving kindness. You think of Psalm 100 concerning the faithfulness of the Lord and his loving kindness. And then he goes on to talk about his righteousness. Verse 7, Sidkatecha b'harei el, mishpatecha tahom rabah, Adam uvehema Hoshea Adonai. Notice your righteousness is like the mighty mountains. What a thought there. God's righteousness is immovable, like great mountains. And your judgments, mishpatecha tahom rabbah, your judgments are like the great deep. It is interesting here. This is looking poetically at the vast, I say, subterranean waters that are vast. And the psalmist is saying, your faithfulness and your judgments are like the great deep, the unending is the thought here, as the subterranean waters. And then he moves on, excuse me. He moves on to talk about God's love for man and beast. Adam uvehema Toshia Adonai. Man and beast, the Lord causes to be saved or preserved. Here we have you, man and beast, O Lord, you cause to be saved, or you preserve. Notice the root is yasha, to save, and here we have a hifil imperfect, second masculine singular from yasha. This, again, a type of verb here was a peva verb, and historically in the hifil we would have had tau shia becoming toshia, where the pathak vav or the aw became a long holum vav, a long holum. So man and beast, you cause, what a beautiful thought, you cause to be saved, O Lord. It shows God's love for all of his creatures, both human and animals. And then, Ma yakar rechastecha Elohim, uvenei adam b'tzel kenafecha yechasayun. That is, how precious, O Lord, is your loving kindness. What a thought. God's loyal love is wonderful. It is priceless. This is what he's saying, how precious. Uvenei adam b'tzel kenafecha. That is, and the sons of men take refuge in the shadow of your wings. What a beautiful thought. In the shadow of your wings, Yecha Sayun. That is, they take refuge. The children of men. What a beautiful place to be taking refuge under the shadow of the Lord's wings. Like a bird protecting humans. This is the thought here. And notice Yechasayun is from Hasa, to take refuge. It is the cow imperfect, third person plural from Chasa, third masculine plural. So in other words, the sons of men under the shadow of your wings, they take refuge. And then in verse 9, notice Yir veyun medeshan beitecha v'nahal adanecha tashkim. What a beautiful thought. They are actually drink copiously from Rava. Here we have a cow imperfect, third masculine plural from Rava. That is, the sons of men can drink copiously from the fatness of your house. In other words, you're a royal host. And those that come into your house can drink copiously of what you provide for them. You make them to drink, v'nachal adanecha tashkim. You make them to drink of the river of your pleasures. Literally, of the river, and the river of your pleasures you cause them to drink. Notice here we have a Hifil imperfect, second masculine singular from shaka, followed by the pronominal suffix, third masculine plural. So, what a beautiful thought. From the drink, or from the river of your pleasures, you cause them to drink. For with you is the fountain of life. Notice, ki mecha makor chayim, be'oracha nire or. For with you is the fountain of life. Notice makor chayim is a beautiful thought here, that the Lord provides real life for those that come to his house. And in your light, we see light. Be'oracha nire or. By God's light, we are able to see light for our path through this earthly pilgrimage. God's light shines a path for all who are willing to follow it. And as I think about the New Testament, I am reminded, especially in the Gospel of John, where Jesus is the light of the world. And we are to walk in his light in New Testament teaching. So what a beautiful imagery here from this psalm, that the New Testament applies as well. And there is this fountain of life. I've thought about how Jesus said to the woman at the well, I can give you water where you'll never thirst again, a fountain of life. And so in the Lord is that fountain of life and light that gives us the spiritual footing and reality to move through the darkness often of the world. And then the Lord, the psalmist concludes with a final prayer. Mashoch hastecha leyodecha b'tzidkatecha leyisrei lev. That is, notice literally here, mashoch means to draw or pull your loving kindness to those who know you. Here we have a pull is a cow imperative, second masculine singular, talking to the Lord. Pull, it's a concluding prayer, we could say, pull your loving kindness to those who know you, to those who intimately know you. Notice yodecha is a cow participle, masculine singular in the plural, followed by the pronominal suffix, second masculine singular in the cha. So draw your loving kindness, Lord, to those who know you, and then your righteousness, your righteousness to those that are upright of heart. So continue your loving kindness is his prayer. And then he asks the Lord to protect him from the thought of those that he's described earlier on in the psalm. Notice it says, Al tevo'eni regel ga'ava beyad reshaim al tenideni. That is, do not let the foot of pride overtake or come upon me. Notice the root is bo here, and it's the cow imperfect jussive, second masculine singular from bo, followed by the pronominal suffix in the hirik yod here. So do not let the foot of pride overtake me or come upon me. In other words, I think he's saying, Lord, protect me from the thought of the godless and the foot of pride, which would hurt and trample over those that would be weak. Do not let me be that way, Lord. Help me to follow your loving kindness and be like you, is his thought. The Yad Reshaim al Tenideni, and the hand of the wicked, let not the hand of the wicked drive me away. And notice the root here is actually node, which means to cause to wander away from you, Lord. It is interesting. Here we have a Hiphil. Do not let the hand of the wicked cause me to wander away from, I think the implication is from you. And here again, we have a Hiphil, imperfect, jussive, second masculine singular from node, to cause to wonder, followed by the pronominal suffix in the ni here and in the e. So do not let the hand of the wicked cause me to wonder. Help me to stay focused on the light that you bring, Lord, and on the path that you have set forth, and follow you. I'm thinking of Jesus in the New Testament. I am the way, the truth, and the life. And so in New Testament for believers in Christ, he is the way, he is the truth, he is the life. And follow me, Jesus says. He is the one that we should emulate and follow and ask the Lord to help us to be like. I'm reminded of a statement that I heard years ago. The life, the perfect life that Christ lived, qualified him for the death that he died. The death that he died qualifies us to receive the life that he lived. But it has to be lived through his empowerment and through what he does in our lives. And then he concludes, Sham nafalu poaleaven, dochu velo yachalu kum. There are fallen the workers of iniquity. There the workers of iniquity have fallen. That is, fallen away from your judgment, Lord, or from your righteousness and your chesed, and have followed that which is wrong. And Lord, protect me, help me to follow you, Lord, and make you my vision and my goal in life. Notice nafalu is a Cal perfect third common plural from nafal, to fall. There they have fallen. The workers of iniquity, poele is from pa'al, to work. Here we have a Cal participle, masculine plural from pahal, the workers of iniquity. They have fallen in wandering from you. And dohu velo yachalu kum. They are thrust down and are not able to rise. Notice dohu is from the root daha. It's a lamed he root, lamed he verb. And here we have a pu'al, perfect, third common plural from daha. So they are thrust down and they are not able, from yachal, they are not Cal perfect, third masculine, or third common plural from yachal, they are not able, kum, to arise. And here we have a Cal infinitive construct from this middle weak verb, kum. So the wicked, he is saying, are judged by the Lord, and their power is broken. And this is the thought then, Lord, help me to follow you. Help me to see your loving kindness. Help me to see your judgments. Help me, Lord, to see the life and the light that you bring, and to be a follower of that light. And thank you that your loving kindness satisfies my heart abundantly in your house. And I want to keep going there, for you're the fountain of my life, Lord. You're my light. And I see in the darkness I see how to conduct myself because of you, Lord, and because of the light that you bring. And again, as a Christian interpreter, as a Christian minister, I'm reminded of Jesus, who cries out in John, in the Gospel of John, I am the light of the world. And how beautiful that is brought out in the New Testament, especially in John's Gospel, about how Christ is the light. And we're to walk in that light, First John tells us. And as we walk in that light, we have joy, we have fullness of joy.